Well, let's speak now to Susan Phoenix, who is a campaigner from Say No to the Barge and joins us from Portland, where, as we know, the Bibby Stockholm Barge is based. And a very good morning to you. And look, as we've just outlined, what a fraught area this is for the Home Office, for us taxpayers, for you residents down in Portland as well, not to even mention the people trying to cross the channel. What are your feelings this morning as we know that the Bibby Stockholm remains on your doorstep but is empty at the moment?
Well, I think we're running out of adjectives, don't you? Farcical. It's just been a disaster from the beginning, hasn't it? There's been poor planning and preparation, and that, of course, leads to poor performance. There is a military term for that I'm not allowed to say on here, but it's got lots of P's in it. It's been a naive rush and also a hush, because they're playing with billions of our money, but we don't know. There is no freedom of information on this whole scheme. So we know a lot of people have already got wealthy on this. And at the bottom of it all are those poor migrants being put in one cupboard, out of another cupboard, and the people of Portland who are very concerned. You're talking about a dentist on a Sunday. We can't get a dentist for God knows how long. So, it's that kind of putting life into perspective. It's been they're playing with money, our money, like a game of Monopoly. And all of the while, the local people are using food banks, and they're being insulted by the fact £3,000 is being used per head on that barge, which must be much more now because they weren't able to fill it because people said they were not coming on. And then to find the government haven't listened to their own advisors, the experts in the field. They knew, or the experts knew, that there was a problem with the water supply. They also knew they had someone with TB who a doctor out in the field had said it's not suitable to move him. And they were saying, oh, just get him on. So it's playing with people's lives it's really getting a crisis time, isn't it?
I mean, the reality of this, Susan, obviously you're looking at this one particular issue, but the reality is that the government is planning, and you can understand why, to have more things like this, more masked sites, over the next 5 years. There is no instant solution to this.
Well, as I heard that 5 years, I thought it's very unlikely I'll still be around in 5 years, but these people will still be, and people will still be suffering. There is an instant thing that somebody could be doing. Somebody could be taking control, getting rid of their slopey shoulders. It's always everyone else's fault. At the bottom of this now, we have, or at the top, I suppose, we have the Home Office, we have the CTM who run the boats, we have the American company, somebody in Clang, and we have local port. And they're all pushing these balls between each other, and nobody's taking responsibility. We've been discussing this locally. If they would use this 39, this group now that are off, and process them, they at least deserve to be processed and use that as a test case for how they're going to do the rest of the country. Surely we have enough expertise in our country, and if not, we can train it up to make assessors who know how to do the job and make it work. Assess. You stay, you go. You stay, you go. It doesn't sound like rocket science if someone's doing the job and taking responsibility, does it?
Yeah. It certainly doesn't sound like rocket science. There are huge problems, though. And I know that you are opposed to the idea of barges, regardless of whether they're on your doorstep or not. And yet ministers over the weekend saying they want to see, 3 to 5 more between now and the next election. And the Labour Party saying, well, actually, we wouldn't row back on anything that's already in place. So they would be fine with these barges as well, because all of it saves money for the taxpayer. So they're here to stay, and they're saving money for the taxpayer. So do you see the advantages from that point of view?
No, because the sums being done at the moment, and I'm not very good with my numbers, but the sums being done at the moment are showing that it is not cheaper than using what they're using at the moment. We don't think they should be using the hotels either, but it certainly is not cheaper. At $3,000 a head, it's $2,500 a head in hotels, seemingly. But our $3,000 is mounting because it's a never-ending patch-up job. So somebody somewhere in those higher echelons are not doing their sums properly. I think there's a big question of pride and not wanting to go back on something at the expense, as I've said before, at the poor people out here on the island, in the communities, and those migrants who really don't know which end is up. They should be able to stop the migrants coming in. And that's been prophesied in many ways that can be done with some more strength of character from who's making the decisions. It's a difficult one, I know, but it's not insurmountable, and it has to stop.
Well, but this is the issue, isn't it? It is difficult. I mean, you were saying a minute ago, it's not rocket science. You know, you assess these people, you stay, you go, you stay, you go. Now, the problem with that is the ones you say you go to, then you've got the lawyers jumping on board, and that is proving a second obstacle. Do you think, when we look at, there's all this talk about the European Committee on Human Rights, should we be looking at our membership of that and as to whether actually we can create our own rules which would make it easier to deport people?
Well, many other countries create their rules, don't they? I don't know why we seem to have become, instead of the wonderful nation we were when I was a little girl, 3/4 of a century ago, we seem to become that, oh, I wonder what we should do. Maybe we should ask somebody. Well, maybe we shouldn't upset anybody. Well, sometimes you do have to upset people, as we know, to do the right thing for everyone. And these guys must be at the end of their tether too, because they don't know what's happening to them. And I've said before, they were given this shiny carrot of, well, you can stay here and you'll have this wonderful land of milk and honey. And the next minute, well, we'll just stick you somewhere till we decide what we're going to do with you. So all of those decisions need to be reviewed. And there's nothing wrong with people in positions of power saying, hey, we've got this wrong. Let's have a total rethink. Not, oh, they don't like the barge, so let's get them a whole load more. Someone somewhere is protecting reputations, and that's all I can see at the moment. Nobody is saying we need to rethink it.
OK, Susan Phoenix from Stop the Barge, or Say No to the Barge. Good to get your thoughts this morning. Thanks very much.